Hey friends, hey fellow people in therapy, hey humans, welcome back to Mindful Chatting. Today's episode came straight out of a conversation I had with a client, and I think it's one we really all need to sit with. And we're talking about external validation, what it looks like, why we crave it, and how it sabotages our ability to actually trust ourselves. So grab a comfy drink, we're going to get into this. So what is external validation? Like, really, what is it? Because there's a big difference between asking for advice, brainstorming with a friend, or getting feedback to help you think something through. That is not what I'm talking about. That is actually normal and healthy to do. What I'm talking about is something way deeper than that. The question beneath the question. Am I okay? If you say I'm okay, am I okay then? It's that emotional outsourcing. It's that urge to go to someone else to get that reassurance that you're okay. Not because you want insight, but because you don't feel like you can trust your own insight. And yeah, in the moment, external validation feels quite amazing because it gives you that space to go, okay, I'm fine, everything's okay. It gives us that hit of, I'm fine, I'm safe, I don't have to think about this anymore. But it bypasses one of the most important things that we actually should be doing for ourselves, which is internal reflection. Or really, internal validation. Because here's the truth. Getting validation from ourselves is actually uncomfortable. It asks you to sit with your own uncertainty. It asks you to listen to your gut and not immediately override it, because that's what you're doing with external validation. You are overriding your internal validation with someone else's opinion. And a lot of us, we don't do it. We don't do internal validation because we're scared of it. It's weird. It's uncomfortable. I don't trust myself. And really, we're scared of the answers that actually might come up. Maybe you were raised by someone who made you doubt yourself. Maybe you were in a relationship where you were told that every feeling, every thought, every decision you were making was wrong. That kind of emotional invalidation cuts you really deep. It kind of brainwashes you. It trains you to seek safety outside of yourself. It erodes that trust in your own voice, in your own intuition, into your own validation system. And that's really hard to revamp it up and restart that over again. And the reason why is because internal validation asks you for trust. You have to have trust in order to internally validate yourself. You also have to have confidence that what you're doing and how you're feeling and how you're thinking is true. And really the belief that even if you mess up, you're still going to be okay. And that is hard. When you got trauma, especially, that is so difficult to do. And your trauma's whispering in your ear pretty much while you're trying to internally validate yourself. Because one bad decision or one painful experience kind of becomes your internal evidence. That evidence for see, you're not good at this. You need help. But let's reframe it. You have way more evidence, I bet, that you've actually made good decisions, that you've survived things, that you've walked away from people who didn't serve you or really didn't deserve you. You've built a life even if it was really messy while you were doing it. You do know what you need and how you feel about things at the end of the day. You just haven't been taught to trust that you know what you're doing. So because sitting in this is super uncomfortable, it's a whole lot easier to just go to somebody else, to ask them how I should be feeling or what I should be thinking or what I should do. Because sitting in that internal validation and really asking yourself these self-reflection, introspective questions is really uncomfortable. And so it's a lot easier to just have someone else do it. But external validation actually keeps you stuck. When the answer comes from someone else and then it's wrong, you get to blame them. You never have to take full ownership of that decision. And when you make the call and it doesn't work out, well, nobody else can take ownership of that except for you. That's where that fear comes in. Because if I trust myself and I screw it up, I don't have anyone else to point to but me. But here's what no one tells you. That's also the moment where real change actually starts. When you start to take accountability, not just for your mistakes, but also just for your choices, you realize, wait, I can also choose something different. I don't have to stay here. But again, if we never actually sit with this painful accountability and ownership of things sometimes, we never get to feel how uncomfortable it is. And that uncomfortableness, when we actually lean into it and we embrace it, pushes us to change because we don't like it. But we're never going to change unless we get to that place. So the reason why we really avoid internal validation is ownership. But internal validation is not about being perfect. It's about owning your experience. It's saying, this is my decision, my direction, my discomfort, but also my power. And when you stop needing others to tell you who you are, how you're doing, or whether or not you're okay, that's freedom. So the next time you want some external validation, or you're seeking this urge to ask people what you should be feeling or thinking or doing, I just want you to pull back for a second. I just want you to pause. Because in that middle transitional time of you, I want you to ask yourself, what am I looking for? Why do I need this? What insight am I actually really looking for? Do I need validation from this person? Can I give that to myself? What I'm asking from someone else, can I give that to me? Because remember, you're not a bad decision maker. You're just learning to hear your voice again. And that takes practice and a lot of grace and also a lot of courage. But you got this. Remember, external validation might feel good in the moment, but internal validation, that's where your healing starts. That's where your freedom lives. That's where your power grows. And no, it won't always feel natural, especially if you've been taught to question yourself. But with time and reflection and a lot of self-compassion, you can start to rebuild that trust again, and you can start to hear your own voice, who you really are that maybe got lost in all of that trauma and all of that crap. And you can stop needing to be told you're okay because you already know you are. So just start there. Start with your voice. Start with your knowing. Start with what you know is true. Start with your truth, even if it's shaky at first. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. And trust that you'll find your way, even if no one else claps for you. Thanks for being with me today. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who's been looking outside themselves for what was inside all along. You're not broken. You're learning to trust yourself again. And that is brave as hell. I'll see you next time on Mindful Chatting.